We're back at 8:43. The spring real estate market has arrived. Can you feel it? It's out there. Got to be busy if you're both buyers and sellers. And here to help us get a better hold of what's going on out there, what it's looking like right now is Anthony Lamacchia, founder and CEO of Lamacchia Realty. Anthony, always good to see you, my friend.
Happy to be here.
So we always like to say, well, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What is it right now?
This time of year, sellers definitely are in favor. You know, they have a bit more power at this time of year simply because of inventory. You know, the amount of homes for sale at this time of year is not as low as it was in the winter, but it's still lower. And the amount of buyers out there is still substantially higher. So that's why, particularly closer to Boston, we're still seeing a lot of multiple offer situations, people competing.
That's still going on?
Oh, yeah. Not as much as the last few years. It's dissipated for sure, but it's still going on, especially close to Boston.
Well, you talk about inventory. Has there been a reluctance of people? We talked before. There was a reluctance of people. I want to hang on to my rate. I don't want to lose this. Is that still the case now?
Yes. There's still droves and droves of people that don't want to give up that low interest rate. You know, there's millions of homeowners across the country and hundreds of thousands here in Massachusetts and, you know, southern New Hampshire that they've got a 2.8, 2.7% rate, 3% rate, and they're saying, well, if I sell, and I buy something new, I'm going to end up with a 6.75. I don't want to do that. But I'll tell you, it's starting to change. There's people, they can't hold on any longer. They need to sell for, you know, and get something bigger maybe they have more children, but the majority of the sales over the last 3 years have been one of the 4 Ds: death, divorce, diamonds, diapers. Right? Those 4 get people in action, but now we're starting to see even the people that need to move up, they're coming off the sidelines.
I mean, you can only hold out for so long.
That's part of the problem, is how long can people wait? And they can't. And you know, we're about to go over 10,000 homes for sale in Massachusetts for the first time in 5 years. I remember talking to you here when we went below 10, and it was like, oh my God. At a given time, and then we were down around 5 or 6 at a given time. We're about to go over 10. It's definitely adjusting back toward normalcy, but we've got a ways to go.
Let's talk about rates a little bit more, because you said they're in the 6s, high 6s. Are they coming down? You know, the Fed said we're not going to cut rates again. Maybe there's talk about it happening later in the year. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, keep in mind, everyone needs to remember that the Fed, you know, Chairman Powell, his changing rates, that's the short-term overnight federal funds rate. That does not have a direct impact on the mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are more driven by the bond market and investors, and do investors put money in the stock market or the bond market? So when the tariff talk all started a month ago, first 3 days, rates went down. We were even lower than 6.5, and it was like, oh, this is great. Well, then the market got bumpy for a few weeks, so it kind of went on the same road as COVID. Rates were up and down, up and down. It seems to have settled somewhere in the high 6s, which is about 3/4 of a point lower than it was a year ago. So I think as things settle and as certain economic changes are made, I think we're going to see rates get low 6s. I'd like to say high 5s before we get to the end of the year. I will tell you that will turn the market on like a spigot if that happens by then. It's going to happen eventually.
I was going to say, if it gets down to the 5s right now, then that's, you know, or not now, by the end of the year, that would have a major impact. I mean,
major. Last summer,
refis, everything.
Last summer, when they came out with the corrected jobs report and the stock market got hit in August, rates went down for 3 weeks. It took 4 days, and the amount of activity went like this. Went right up. So we are in a business that is extremely addicted to interest rates because it affects affordability. They come down a point, someone can buy a house for $100,000 more, right? Their payments lower. So those things have a huge impact.
All right, quickly, note of advice for a seller, note of advice for a buyer right now in this market.
Note of advice for a seller would be, yes, it's your time of year, but don't overdo it. Okay, it's not 60 days ago. 60 days ago, there's nothing for sale. When you put your home up for sale, you get multiple offers unless you overpriced.
So price it right.
Yeah, don't overdo it, because then if it doesn't sell, then you have to adjust and you're sort of behind the 8 ball. For buyers, this time of year, if you want to buy a home, you got to step up. You have to be willing to pay, especially if you're buying closer to Boston. I mean, I talked about inventory being up, but if you look at those towns right around Boston, like where I live in Watertown, inventory is not that much higher than it was the last couple of years, if at all. If at all.
So be ready, step up, bring your A game.
Be willing to step up.
And also, there's something going on the horizon with home inspections in Massachusetts. The laws change.
Yeah, there's a law that came out that I completely disagree with, and I think it's nothing but confusing, and I think it's a bit unrealistic. And I'm sure the lawmakers will love to hear me say that, but it's true. They're finalizing the regulations. I'd love to come back in a month and talk to you about how it all works.
Okay. Well, some people need to know about as we get closer. All right, we'll discuss that.